What would you do if the woman you loved, the one you built a life with, shattered your world with a single, undeniable truth? The night everything broke was a Tuesday, not with a bang, but with the soft, insidious glow of her phone screen at 2 a.m. I pretended to be asleep, my breath even, but my heart was a jackhammer against my ribs. Her thumb danced across the glass, a secret language I wasn't privy to, a smile playing on her lips. A name flashed across the screen, a name I recognized from her work, a shard of ice piercing my chest. My business trip to Dallas was supposed to start the next morning, a convenient alibi for her, a cruel test for me. But I never left town. I just watched and waited and planned. The silence in our bedroom was deafening, filled with echoes of a life I thought we shared, now crumbling. As the first rays of dawn crept through the blinds, I knew one thing: she had no idea what was coming. Don't. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. My name is Mark. For 15 years, I believed I had the perfect marriage to Sarah. We had a beautiful home in a quiet Chicago suburb, to healthy kids, and what I thought was an unbreakable bond. She was my rock, my confidant, my everything. Or so I thought. The first crack appeared subtly, like a hairline fracture in a foundation. Sarah started working late more often, always with a plausible explanation. New project, tight deadline. I, the trusting fool, bought every word. Then came the little things. A new perfume, expensive lingerie I never saw her wear for me. A sudden obsession with her phone, always face down, always locked. I tried to dismiss it. Marriage has its ups and downs, right? But the unease grew, a cold knot in my stomach. She became distant, her touch less frequent, her eyes holding a guarded look I'd never seen before. Our conversations became superficial, devoid of the intimacy we once shared. She'd snap at me for trivial things, then apologize with a forced sweetness that felt more like manipulation. It was as if a stranger had moved into my wife's body, and I was living with a ghost. A slow discovery was agonizing. It started with a receipt for a high-end restaurant in downtown Chicago. Tucked away in her purse, to entrees, 2 expensive cocktails. She'd told me she had a late dinner with a female colleague. The date on the receipt was a night I was home alone. Then, a text message notification flashed on her phone while she was in the shower. A snippet, just enough to ignite the firestorm. "Can't wait for our next business trip, my love." My blood ran cold. My hands trembled as I picked up her phone, my moral compass warring with a primal urge for truth. I found a hidden folder, a trove of illicit messages and photos with a man named David, her colleague. Smug, handsome, and utterly despicable. The betrayal hit me like a physical blow, stealing my breath, leaving me gasping for air in my own home. I spent the next few days in a fog, going through the motions, a hollow shell of myself. Sarah, oblivious to my discovery, continued her charade, her lies becoming more elaborate, her disdain for me more palpable. She'd talk about David with a casualness that made my skin crawl, praising his intelligence, his humor. Each word was a dagger, twisted deeper by her arrogance. She truly believed she was untouchable, that I was too blind, too stupid to see. The emotional breakdown was swift and brutal. I locked myself in my home office, the walls closing in, the air thick with despair. I stared at our wedding photo, her radiant smile mocking me, the loyal husband, the devoted father, reduced to a cuckold. The humiliation was unbearable. But amidst the wreckage of my heart, a cold, hard resolve began to form. This wasn't just about pain, it was about justice. It was about reclaiming my dignity, my life. I started gathering proof meticulously, silently. I installed discreet software on her laptop, a GPS tracker in her car. I hired a private investigator, a grizzled ex-cop named Frank, who worked out of a dingy office in a forgotten corner of the city. Frank's reports were clinical, damning. Photos of Sarah and David, hand in hand, kissing in hotel lobbies, laughing over intimate dinners. Each image was a fresh wound, but also a brick in the wall of my revenge. I documented every lie, every late night, every suspicious expense. I consulted with a divorce attorney, sharp, no-nonsense woman named Ms. Davies, who listened to my story with a steely gaze. "We'll build an ironclad case, Mark," she promised, her voice calm, reassuring. My plan was intricate, designed to dismantle Sarah's life piece by piece, leaving her with nothing. I waited for the perfect moment, the business trip I had supposedly taken. While she thought I was hundreds of miles away, I was orchestrating her downfall from a rented apartment in downtown Chicago. Watching her movements, listening to her calls, I'll set legal traps, ensuring her infidelity would cost her everything. Not only our marriage, but also her financial security and her reputation. I secured evidence of her misuse of joint funds, her deceitful behavior impacting our children's trust funds. The public exposure was not a grand, dramatic confrontation, but a series of calculated, devastating blows. First, the divorce papers served at her office, detailing every sordid detail of her affair, backed by irrefutable evidence. The shock on her face, the sudden pallor, was a small victory. Then, the carefully leaked information to her company's HR department, exposing her affair with a senior colleague. A clear violation of company policy. David, the smug affair partner, was swiftly fired, his career in tatters. Sarah, facing an internal investigation and public humiliation, was forced to resign. The final blow came in the courtroom, a sterile, unforgiving arena. Ms. Davies presented our case with surgical precision. The judge listened impassively as the evidence mounted. The texts, the photos, the financial discrepancies. Sarah, stripped of her arrogance, sat pale and trembling, her carefully constructed world collapsing around her. The settlement was brutal. She lost the house, significant alimony, and her visitation rights with the children were severely restricted. Contingent on therapy and strict supervision, her social circle, once vibrant, evaporated. Friends, disgusted by her actions, turned their backs. Her family, ashamed, kept their distance. I saw her once more, months later, in a grocery store in a different part of town. She looked older, her eyes hollow, her once vibrant spirit extinguished. She didn't see me, and I didn't approach. There was no triumph, no joy, just a quiet, haunting emptiness. The revenge was complete, but it hadn't brought back the man I was, or the life I had lost. The silence that followed was the loudest sound I had ever heard. The end.